Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello and welcome to ForumIAS. Today is 27th March 2023 and these are all the articles that we are going to discuss today. Moving on to the first article, it says that ISRO puts 36 OneWeb satellites into orbit. That is why this article is in news, and ISRO has used its heaviest payload rocket LVM-3 for this mission, and this mission took off from Sriharikota. So we will learn about LVM-3 in the next slide. Before that, we will cover some of the points related to the launch that is in question. So this launch, in which 36 satellites were launched, it is the second mission for Network Access Associates Limited, that is OneWeb Group company, and they have an agreement with New Space India Limited to launch 72 satellites. We have covered what is New Space India Limited in our earlier discussions. You can revisit it if you want to know more about it. As of now, we have to focus on the link between OneWeb Group and NSIL to launch 72 satellites into the low Earth orbit. So these 72 satellites were launched in two phases. The first phase of it was in October 2022, and in the second phase, the next 36 satellites were released into the low Earth orbit. So why is this launch very significant? It is significant from two perspectives. One is from ISRO's perspective and another one is from OneWeb Group company's perspective, but both are important. So in this particular rocket, S-200 motors were fitted, and because this launch was successful, this can be used in the Gaganyaan mission, which might take place by the end of this year or next year. So the capacity of this launch vehicle has been proved. The next significance is that, so in this OneWeb Technologies mission, basically they are aiming to provide space-based internet, and they will have almost 680 satellites. It is a constellation of satellites. Constellation of satellites. So this company is using this constellation of satellites to provide space-based internet services. So in this particular constellation, there are satellites in the low Earth orbit. So it is a milestone with respect to low Earth orbit connectivity. LEO means low Earth orbit. Let me write it down. Low Earth orbit. So low Earth orbit and space-based internet is also possible, because with this launch of 36 satellites, this constellation is now complete, and space-based internet can be launched for the entire world with this constellation of satellites. So in India, we have low fixed broadband penetration. In that case, space-based internet will be very useful. If we are able to provide internet connectivity to remote areas, rural areas, then we will also be able to bridge the digital divide. These are from the perspective of the OneWeb company, but nonetheless, it is beneficial for the people. So I already said that we will discuss a little bit about LVM-3 rocket. With this rocket is nothing but the GSLV Mk3 variant. It has been renamed to Launch Vehicle Mark III. Earlier it was known as Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III. So this is a 3-stage rocket and it is a launch vehicle completely developed by ISRO. So this particular launch vehicle was primarily designed to launch communication satellites into the geostationary orbit. This does not mean that it can't be used for other purposes. It was primarily designed for this purpose. As we can see in this mission, this same rocket was used to launch 36 satellites into the low Earth orbit. So, it is a multi-purpose launch vehicle which was primarily designed to launch communication satellites. If we have to see more about this launch vehicle, it is a 3-stage launch vehicle. It has one solid stage with solid propellants, that is S200 strap-ons, and the second stage is the core stage, that is a liquid stage, and the upper stage is a cryogenic stage. So if we can visualize this as a rocket, so we have 3 stages. The lower stage, the first stage is a solid stage. Then we have the second stage, which is the liquid stage, and the upper stage, the third stage, is the cryogenic stage. So this is about the LVM3 rocket. In prelims, they might ask about this, giving statements about how many stages that does it have strap-on boosters or not, like that they can ask questions. So keep this in mind. This is very important for the upcoming prelims. Moving on to the next article of the day. This is from editorial section, but we will be dealing with it from more of a prelims point of view, but I will also provide you with the analysis. Why this article has come in news? Why has it been discussed at length in this editorial? It is because of disqualification of Rahul Gandhi. Basically, our former leader of opposition, he was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment in a defamation case by a magistrate's court in Surat. Following that, the Lok Sabha Secretariat issued a notification of disqualification from membership of Parliament. Whether this is constitutionally correct or not, what are the articles associated with disqualification? What are the case laws associated with disqualification? These aspects we are going to see in this article. Firstly, we will see what does the Section 8 Clause 3 of Representation of Peoples Act say. It says that a person convicted of any offence other than those mentioned in the other 2 clauses and sentenced to not less than 2 years shall be disqualified from the date of conviction. So, not less than 2 years, which means if they are convicted for 2 years or more, they stand to be disqualified. That is what our Representation of Peoples Act says. But this can't be read in isolation. We have to read it along with articles from the Constitution. But before that, we have to discuss the Lily Thomas case, because this Lily Thomas case is in association with the Representation of Peoples Act. So basically, in this particular case, they discuss Section 8 Clause 4. This should be Clause 4. So Section 8 Clause 4 of the Representation of Peoples Act says that the sitting members, that is currently whoever is the MP or MLA, they will not be instantly disqualified for 3 months, because this 3 months of respite is provided for them to contest this disqualification, to appeal against the conviction. So earlier in the Representation of Peoples Act, this particular clause which exempts the sitting members only, not those looking to contest in the election, this exemption is only for the sitting members. But in Lily Thomas case, the Supreme Court struck down this provision. They say that there cannot be any special provision for sitting members. So this particular clause was struck down. So once this is struck down, what happens? There is no Section 8 Clause 4 of RPA 1951. As a result, there is an instant disqualification of sitting legislator as soon as he or she is convicted. But in case their conviction is stayed by the appellate court, if they go to a higher court and appeal against their conviction, and if the appellate court is staying the conviction, then the disqualification will be lifted and their membership will be restored. Okay. But if we see Article 102 and 103 from our Indian Constitution, we will get much more different perspective. So Article 102 of Indian Constitution, it talks about a person shall be disqualified for being chosen as and for being a member of either house. So it talks about candidates as well as sitting MPs. If he is so disqualified by or under any law made by the Parliament, in this case it is the RPA 1951. It says that if a particular member or a person who wants to contest the election is disqualified, that is if they are convicted of any offense. So we saw that here, right? If they are convicted, so you see here, if they are convicted of an offense greater than or equal to 2 years imprisonment, then they are disqualified. So you have to read this section of RPA along with Article 102. However, if you see Article 103, it talks only about members, only about the sitting MPs. It does not talk about candidates. It talks only about the MPs, and what is the decision on question of disqualification? It is decided by the President of India and he has to consult with the Election Commission of India. He has to act as per the advice of Election Commission of India when he decides disqualification of a member if he has violated a law made by the Parliament, right? So these are the relevant articles. Now if we come back to the discussion, so in a case Consumer Education and Research Society versus Union of India, in this particular case the Supreme Court said that the President performs adjudicatory and declaratory function as per Article 103. We already saw the text of Article 103. Adjudicatory means he will decide if there is any conflict. If there is any conflict, whether this member has been disqualified or not, he will adjudicate. Or if the case is very clear, he will simply declare that so and so person has been disqualified. So let's put a pin on this particular judgment. Before going into the nitty-gritties of Rahul Gandhi case, we have to understand what are the issues with this Lily Thomas case. So Lily Thomas case says that Parliament cannot make exemption for sitting members. So this particular case, the section of RPA was struck down because Parliament has no power to make an exemption for sitting members. That is what the court said. However, Article 103 of Constitution itself provides for exemption for sitting members, which we saw here. It is for disqualification of members only. So The court said RPA cannot make exemption, but the constitution itself makes a distinction between candidates and sitting members, right? So there is a difference here. The constitution in Article 103 is especially for sitting members. So that we have to keep in mind. And Article 103 also talks about president issuing such order of disqualification. So, if RPA, that is the Representation of People's Act, is providing an exemption, it is reasonable. Why? Because if that person is immediately disqualified, then what happens? That particular constituency is left without an MP. The constituency will lose its representative. So, this 3 months of respite that was provided by RPA is perfectly fine. That is what the author of this article says, and he takes the help of Constitution, especially Article 103, to support his cause. So then what is the issue with Rahul Gandhi's disqualification? Because in this particular disqualification, the Lok Sabha Secretariat issued the disqualification notification. But as per Article 103, only President can do that, right? So, President should have issued, not the Lok Sabha Secretariat. So, there is a fundamental conflict with Constitution. On the other hand, if we take the notion of defamation itself, under which he was convicted, we have to rethink about defamation, because many mature democracies like UK, US, they don't have a defamation law. Even Sri Lanka doesn't have a defamation law. So, we have to rethink about it, right? So, ours is a multi-party democracy, and every political party is a potential ruling party. They might come to power one or the other day. So, if the ruling party keeps weaponizing this particular defamation section of the Criminal Procedure Code, then what happens is every other leader will be going to jail. So the democracy cannot effectively function. That is the philosophical part of the argument. But from prelims point of view, you have to concentrate on Articles 102 and Articles 103, and what the Lok Sabha Secretariat did is in violation of Article 103, because only President can issue such a notification. Alright, so that is it for this particular article. Next article is about biotransformation technology. So, what is biotransformation technology? So, it is nothing but a plastic manufacturing technology. There is a cut-off date in this. Okay, so it is manufactured at a particular date. Manufacturing date. Okay, so from the manufacturing date to the cut-off date, the plastic remains as a plastic. Okay, it doesn't have any deformities, nothing. It is as much effective as any other plastic. But after the cut-off date, it self-destructs. So it self-destructs and it transforms into bioavailable wax. And this bioavailable wax is consumed by microorganisms. They digest it, and as a result of it, we get the byproducts: water, carbon dioxide, and biomass. The important feature of this technology is that it leaves behind no microplastics. No microplastics. We already know that microplastics are as much dangerous because of their extremely small size. This biotransformation technology completely self-destructs the plastic, leaving behind not even small chunks. Whatever output is also in the form of biomass only. So this is a very revolutionary technology. Why do we need such technologies? Because our environment minister, he had mentioned that there are 3.5 billion kgs of plastic which are generated annually in India, and per capita plastic waste has doubled in the past 5 years only. Today we have many more e-commerce sites, and we have distinct e-commerce sites for clothes, for miscellaneous items, for cosmetics. So if we are going to use all these services, it would obviously generate lot of plastic waste. That is evident from this fact that per capita plastic waste generation has doubled in the last 5 years, and a third of it, almost 1/3 of it is only plastic waste. So this is a alarm bell. That is why we need technologies like biotransformation technology. So where this can be used, it can be mainly used in food packaging and healthcare industry, especially like non-woven products, diapers, sanitary napkins, facial pads. So after a point they can self-destruct, which is very useful for a country like India where there is no prescribed methodology or a proper channel for medical waste disposal as well. That way also this biotransformation technology will be very useful. And what are all the measures taken by Government of India on this regard? We have a plastic waste management gazette. So it is mainly helping us to tackle the plastic pollution caused by single-use plastics, because last year the government imposed a ban on single-use plastics. Then there is a national dashboard on elimination of single-use plastic and plastic waste management. This particular dashboard brings together all stakeholders to track what is the progress made in eliminating single-use plastics. And we also have extended producer responsibility, which means the producer, say for example, if you buy a chips packet and the chips comes packaged in a plastic wrapper, so the producer has a extended producer responsibility wherein they will collect the chips packet also. They have the responsibility to dispose this off. That is what is extended producer responsibility. For this also we have an EPR portal. So this portal helps in improving the accountability, traceability and facilitation of this EPR obligations. So India itself is moving in the right direction because of these concrete initiatives taken by the government, and along with that, if we complement this new technology, we will be very successful in elimination of plastic waste. The next article is about a new species. So this new species is named after the state of Tamil Nadu itself. So this species has been named after Tamil Nadu as Gymnothorax tamilnaduensis. So in Tamil Nadu, this eel is called as moray eel, and it has been named after the state of Tamil Nadu itself. So they might ask, in 2016 prelims, there was a question about Maharashtra's state butterfly. Okay, if they have to ask something similar in this prelims, they can ask about a species of eel was named after this particular Indian state. Which state it is? The answer is Tamil Nadu. The final article of the day is about Narega wages. So the Union Ministry of Rural Development, they have issued a notification indicating the change in wage rates, and this particular new change will come into effect from April 1, and they will determine the wages as per the geography. So if we see the current notification, Rajasthan registered the highest percentage increase in wages, and the lowest wages are prevalent in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, and for them it has been a 17% increase in wage compared to last year. So if we have to look at it from prelims point of view, who notifies or determines the Narega wages? It is the central government, and it is irrespective of the Minimum Wages Act. Okay. Why Narega wages needs to be revised? Because see, this Narega was implemented for enhancement of livelihood security. That is, if a person is not able to get work anywhere, not even one place, so this particular Narega is the last recourse. The Supreme Court themselves, they have themselves told that the Narega is the last recourse. So if we are providing very low wages even in this last recourse, then it pushes a person into subhuman existence. And almost 5 crore rural households rely on the Narega, and out of these 40% of beneficiary, which is a huge number, they come from the SC and ST communities. And in times of distress, this scheme is the savior. So there has to be proper alignment of wages, which is in consonance with the prevailing inflation rate and the prevailing minimum wage rate, and what is the prevailing wages provided for the agricultural worker in the respective state. Okay, from prelims point of view, remember the central government determines the wages in the Narega. Now we will discuss some previous year prelims question. These are all taken from 2019. The first question is, what is common to the places known as Aliar, Isapur and Kangsabasti? A. Recently discovered uranium deposits. B. Tropical rainforest. C. Underground cave system. D. Water reservoirs. Answer is D. Water reservoirs. These are all dams located in various states of India. Aliar is in Tamil Nadu, Isapur is in Maharashtra, and Kangsabati is in West Bengal. The next question. In the context of proposals to the use of hydrogen enriched CNG, HCNG, as fuel for buses in public transport, consider the following statements. 1. The main advantage of the use of HCNG is the elimination of carbon monoxide emissions. HCNG as fuel reduces carbon dioxide and hydrocarbon emissions. 3. Hydrogen up to 1/5 by volume can be blended with CNG as fuel for buses. 4. HCNG makes the fuel less expensive than CNG. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? Let us quickly go through the statements. The first statement is wrong because it doesn't completely eliminate carbon monoxide emission. It reduces carbon monoxide emission. So statement 1 is wrong. We can eliminate A and D. Now let us go to second statement. HCNG as fuel reduces carbon dioxide and hydrocarbon emissions. Yes, this is correct. Hydrogen up to 1/5 by volume can be blended with CNG. That is, up to 20% blending can be carried out. This is also correct. HCNG makes the fuel less expensive. This is wrong because we are blending hydrogen, and this makes, at least the blending process will cover some money. So CNG becomes expensive. It doesn't become less expensive. Ask for correct statements. The answer is 2 and 3. B is the correct answer. Next question. The 9th schedule was introduced in the Constitution of India during the Prime Ministership of A. Jawaharlal Nehru, B. Lal Bahadur Shastri, C. Indira Gandhi, D. Morarji Desai. Answer is A. Jawaharlal Nehru, because 9th schedule was introduced through first Constitutional Amendment Act 1951. Obviously at that time Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister. Last question of the day. It is about disqualification. We already discussed an article on disqualification. You'll see a question about it. Consider the following statements. Statement number 1. Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act 1959 exempts several posts from disqualification on the grounds of office of profit. 2. The above mentioned act was amended 5 times. 3. The term office of profit is well defined in the Constitution of India. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? You might not know how many times this particular act was amended, right? So we have to go by elimination technique. We all know the office of profit is not defined in Constitution. It is not defined anywhere. It is just deduced from judgments. It is derivative in nature. We can infer what is a office of profit from various judgments of the courts. No act defines what is office of profit. The Constitution also doesn't define office of profit. So statement 3 is wrong. So if we can eliminate that, we are left with answer A. So A is the correct answer. That's it for today's discussion. Follow us on all these social media platforms. This is Indumati signing off from today's discussion. Thank you. All the best.